Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of With All Due Respect. We are your hosts. I'm Ryan Shead. That's Marcus Flowers. Brother, how are you doing?
I am optimistic today, brother. Optimistic because MAGA's crazy is starting to show more and more, and people are seeing it, and they're like, "What
I'm
is
telling you.
is this
I'm
what we're
telling you.
really doing?" So, optimism for the first time in a little while. I'll put it
Yep.
that
My mental health is feeling good today because I didn't watch the State of the Union. I just waited for the clips to come out, the highlights, and yeah, it looked just as crazy as I thought it would be.
I
So,
think that line stretches around the corner, brother, because I didn't watch it either, and I
sure
know a
does.
lot of other people that didn't watch it because I was watching them on their live streams
Yep.
talking about it. So,
Yep. And speaking of people who didn't watch or attend the State of the Union, we have Rep. Veronica Escobar, who is a representative in Texas. We got connected after the airspace over El Paso was shut down. And the shocking part to me was Rep. Escobar had no idea, among many other people within the city and the state government. So thank you so much, ma'am, for coming on the show. And for any of you who don't know, who this amazing person is. She's the first woman to represent El Paso and a key voice on border issues, immigration, healthcare, and gun safety as a member of the House Appropriations Committee, Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and former Democratic Policy and Communications Committee co-chair. And there's many more, honestly. We just had to limit it down because we only have you for 30 minutes. So thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
can't
Of
list all of
course,
your accolades today because we'll
yeah,
be here for a while.
It is such a pleasure to be with both of you. Thank you for the opportunity.
thank you,
Thank you for
ma'am.
joining us.
So, of course, we're going to talk about the State of the Union and some of the aftermath from it, but we also want to talk about your campaign, because you're running for office again. You guys get to do this every 2 years. Oh boy. But that means you get to raise more money. And once again, just want to remind everybody, almost every Democratic candidate is going to have a union bug on all of their campaign materials and merch. And that means that they're supporting a union print shop, high paying jobs, at least 15, usually at least $15 an hour or more. So when you're supporting a Democratic candidate and sending them your money, you are also supporting higher paying jobs, which most Republicans get their stuff printed at the cheapest place possible so they can get the most amount of stuff, which is why you usually end up seeing twice the amount of signs because they don't pay what people like Rep. Escobar do for their stuff. So
Absolutely.
just a reminder for you folks out there of how the game is really played. Um,
Yep.
so let's start off with border security,
Yeah.
because it is so directly tied to immigration and these ICE operations that we're seeing nationwide right now. So, what's your take as the voice of immigration and the border right now up at the Capitol on how his speech aligned with the actual challenges you're seeing in Texas as a border state in El Paso?
Yeah, great question. El Paso is literally right on the US Mexico border. And so my community has for eons been at the center of the movement of people and goods back and forth across that border and that skinny little river called the Rio Grande. And I will tell you this. Border security is important to all of us.
Yep.
It's not just important to Republicans, it's important to Democrats, and it's important to people like me who live on the US Mexico border. No one wants a secure border more than those of us who live there.
Yep.
But the dysfunction, frankly, of Congress and the willingness of politicians to take advantage of the fact that we've not had immigration reform in 40 years has created a situation where Trump played on people's fears. And now he's using the Department of Homeland Security not to keep people safe, but to go after US citizens. We've seen it with our own eyes, what's happened in Minneapolis and Chicago, in other American cities. They're using our money to fund these massive detention facilities. The one in El Paso, a private contractor is getting $1.24 billion with a B, to run a tent city. That's money that
A
could
tent
go.
city?
That's right. That's that we calculated we could, as a federal government, just with the money for that one facility, we could solve veterans homelessness for 4 years in a row. So it is this warped sense of priorities this not keeping us safe and fundamentally not solving the problem. I have a bipartisan bill that would address the border, that would reform our broken immigration system, and that would treat this issue with the seriousness that it deserves.
And I know you got some pushback from Democrats because you introduced that bill, I believe, in 23, right?
That's right.
So have any of those people that were pushing back a few years ago, have they now started kind of turning your way?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will tell you, I am just as critical of my own party as I am of Republicans on
Yep.
not addressing this. We have to work across the aisle on an issue that's this tough.
Yep.
And it's compromising is not surrendering. Compromising is wanting to take steps forward and solving an issue. And my view is the bipartisan bill that my colleague Maria Salazar and I put together, it is a step. It's a big step, but it is one step. And once we get this piece of legislation passed by Congress and signed by the president, whether it's this president or the next president, then we can continue reforming our outdated laws. But
Yeah.
this is an important first step.
You just made me think of something my old man used to tell me a lot growing up. He said sometimes reaching an agreement is more important than winning.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I wish more politicians, especially when they finally get to the Capitol, I just wish more would kind of adopt that, because sometimes it's not about I was right. It's not about the internet clicks. It's not about a viral moment. It's just about getting the job done.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, right now we live in a world where politicians and some people in power want us to fight each other, hate each other. They benefit from the division that creates a major distraction. And it's not good for us. It's not good for the country, and it doesn't help us solve problems.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I
Thank you,
agree
man.
with that totally. I mean, I have a lot of, having been a candidate myself and run a pretty decent race that ended up not winning against Marjorie Taylor Greene back in the 22 cycle. I got a lot of friends up on the Hill, and we talk about some of those issues where, you'll have some Republican members of Congress who are completely performative for the cameras, and then behind closed doors, they'll have serious conversations. And Rep. Escobar, I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you're using your power on the Appropriations Committee role to push back on some of that performance stuff and get things done when it comes to cuts to healthcare and things like reproductive rights and things like that. How are you communicating with your colleagues across the aisle and on the Democratic side of the House?
Yeah, great question. Part of what is important in legislating and in trying to solve these issues is talking to one another like human beings. And there are some colleagues, frankly, on both sides of the aisle, who refuse to talk to the person on the opposite side of the aisle. Well, unless we have complete control of everything, that means we're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of folks, a lot more folks, I think, than Americans know or see on TV who actually talk to one another and try to work things out. That has gotten harder, though, I will tell you. And I think for a lot of Republican colleagues, to be perfectly candid, they are really afraid of their voters right now.
Oh,
And political violence is terrifying. It's at an all-time high.
Yep.
But also when you have a president of the United States that with a tweet or with a post on Truth Social can turn the ire of millions of Americans against one person, that is a scary place to be for people. And if you don't have a grown-up in the White House who wants to govern, if you have someone in the White House who literally wants to give orders and wants to bring people to their knees, this is the result. And so there are times actually when I feel empathy for some of my Republican colleagues, but this is not a job for
Faint of
the
heart.
weak.
Faint of heart.
This is if you want this job, you better be willing to
You
get
asked for the
things done.
microphone.
You asked
Absolutely.
for it. You got to get it done.
Absolutely. And just to put a fine point on that, Rep. Escobar, I spent this past weekend out on the campaign trail talking to the Democratic Party of Georgia, and I did that to get them to go ahead and endorse Sean Harris. General Harris was running for Marjorie Taylor's old seat, the seat that I ran for, in a jungle primary where there's 17 Republicans and just one Democrat. So we've got an opportunity to actually send shockwaves through the political world and win this seat. But the reason I was there speaking on his behalf is because he was up in the very northwest corner of Georgia after receiving so many death threats, just like I received on the campaign trail, wearing a ballistic vest. So I know that fear is real. I know what you're saying has happened because it's happened to me. And I definitely see it on the other side when I tell people, look, the fear is real, and I get it. But government is one of those things. It's serious business for serious people. And if you don't have a servant's heart and you're not in it for the right reasons, it can be overwhelming, I think.
And let me touch on this for other people that may not be in politics, but think, oh, politics doesn't affect you. If you watch the Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny, you may have noticed that he had been wearing a bulletproof vest for a week or two leading up to the show. And if you go look at him in an award show, they had to sit his family away from him because he was too afraid that they would do something to their family trying to get him. So if you think that politics wasn't a major factor in those threats that he was getting and all the hate and vitriol we saw leading up to it, and Turning Point USA using him as their selling point for their pre-recorded show, it's not just politicians walking around with vests. It's public figures, it's musicians, it's actors, it's whatever, because they came out and said, I'm not okay with this man that is in the White House right now representing our country. And that is what's getting them threats.
It's terrible. And again, all of this division and political violence and hatred, it is a distraction. I mean, there are serious consequences to it, but it distracts us as a country from what needs to happen so that we have a more prosperous country for everyone, where we protect our rights, where we are a competitive nation. That's what we should be focused on, not hating one another.
100%.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you was gun safety is something that I tend to focus on a lot. I know Marcus does too. But you have a position where you can really do something about that. But watching the clips from the State of the Union, because once again, Rep. Escobar didn't go, and I'm going to tell you why I love the fact that you didn't. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now. So I'm seeing Senator Mark Kelly attacked and used. Let's call it what it is. He's being used today to say, look, he's in Arizona, my home state, and he doesn't care about immigrants because he didn't stand up. So one of the reasons that I love the fact that you didn't go to the State of the Union is because you didn't allow yourself to be used today. Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, they're going after Ilhan Omar because she did exactly what the white representatives did a few years ago to Joe Biden, and they thought that was fine. But apparently when we do it, when our side does it, or a woman of color does it, that's not okay. So it's like they don't like when we play the same game. And now that we're getting to that point, you said something to me in the green room that I love. You said, I'm not messing around. And we need more representatives like, you know what? I'm not messing around. I'm not going to allow you to use me for your political propaganda, which is exactly what he did. He asked that question because he knew that they weren't going to stand up, and they knew they were going to have a viral moment and all of his supporters are buying it. See, they don't care about America. No, we do. The difference is that people like Mark Kelly and Rep. Escobar would rather spend the billions of dollars that we're wasting with a wall and ICE operations and all that stuff to actually make the process make sense. So maybe instead of 6 years to become a citizen, it could be 6 months to a year. And then maybe we won't have the giant backlog that we have. And maybe if we hired more people and instead of building concentration camps, how about we build processing centers instead? So
put more judges down there to get those people processed through.
And as a former judge, that again, I love the fact that we have women and people like you in these positions because you've done it. You've been a judge, you've sat there, you've made those decisions before. So when you come to Congress, you know exactly what you're looking for, you know exactly what you're trying to fix. So with that all in mind, how do you feel gun safety is resonating with the people of your district, especially as two states, Arizona and Texas? We have pretty lax gun laws, I think, in both states, it's safe to say.
Georgia
Yeah.
too.
But with ICE and all these things going on, are you seeing any shift in how people view gun legislation?
Well, I will tell you, in my
Oh, sorry.
district, we had a horrific mass shooting where a man drove 10 hours from Allen, Texas to El Paso. And this was during the first Trump administration. And he specifically came to El Paso to target Latinos and immigrants. And 23 people were murdered and dozens of people were injured. So in El Paso, my community, which has a lot of gun owners, I mean, it's West Texas. I grew up with guns in the house. I grew up as a kid. My dad would take all of us. I have 4 brothers. We would go target shooting. And so guns, especially in West Texas, not unusual. But what my district recognizes is that, and we've been pretty consistent, but I think it's been even more intense since the Walmart shooting, is that it's not a bad thing to have reasonable, common sense gun safety laws, like locking up guns so that children don't get access to them, having simple safety precautions like that, understanding that semi-automatic weapons are intended to cause massive amounts of harm. Do we want those weapons in our neighborhoods? So my community has long wanted common sense gun safety legislation, and no one's saying we want to, we want to end gun ownership, at least not in my district.
Yeah.
What we are saying is we want common sense solutions that keep people safe, that at the same time preserve people's rights.
Yep.
I mean, we've been saying this for so many years.
Yeah.
Escobar, and Ryan and I are both veterans. I talked about it on the campaign trail. They talk about, oh, you're a gun grabber. I'm like, look, guys, I'm from Alabama originally, lived in Texas, lived in Georgia, spent a decade in combat zones. I'm not trying to take anyone's guns away. You have that constitutional right. Yes, you do. But all of those amendments have borders around them. They have borders around them.
Yeah.
We know what M4s and AR-styled rifles are used for because we used them in war. They are weapons of war. They're not for hunting. It's not for home protection. It's to cause the most amount of damage as far away as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And they can be altered from semi-auto to fully auto just by changing the lower receiver. But, that's a discussion most people don't want to have.
Exactly. You saw what happened in Vegas at the,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That dude had an arsenal in that room.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful testimonies I've ever heard on this issue, back when I served on the House Judiciary Committee, we had a hearing about gun violence, and I invited one of the trauma surgeons from our public hospital to come and testify. And what he described, what he saw those bullets do to human flesh, to human bone, to nerves. It was so clear that he was very traumatized by what he witnessed, what he saw, what his patients lived through. I think if we amplified those stories, I don't understand how folks can't have empathy as a result of how people's lives have been shattered and their bodies have been shattered by these weapons.
Because that should be more powerful. That's not a politician. That's a doctor, a trauma surgeon that's telling you, this is what I saw. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And we need to do something.
Yeah.
That's not political. I'm telling you what I saw, and I'm not telling you how to fix it. I don't know how, but we need to do something.
No, I agree with that 100%. These are weapons of war.
Yeah.
These AR-styled rifles, they are designed to eliminate a threat, literally
Or
eliminate
multiple.
them and tear a body.
Yeah.
We've seen I've seen what they do as well. You don't need to be a trauma surgeon to see people coming off the battlefield with these injuries, and they're going to be bad outcomes just seeing what they've done to your body. I'm talking loss of limbs.
And you know what? I'm going to challenge people. I know so many of us felt a little traumatized after witnessing the Charlie Kirk video. And as much as that shouldn't have happened, Marcus and I happened to be live, so we didn't put it on the screen. We decided not to, but it was happening while we were live.
Right.
And as two people who have seen those kind of things, we instantly knew
what the outcome was going to be.
If that was what we said was, if that's a real video, he didn't make it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, unfortunately, it turned out to be true. And it was like, even that didn't shift their opinions.
Yeah.
But just that one shot, that one individual, now take that same feeling you had watching that video and times it by 30.
Yeah.
And that's what a surgeon that's telling us their story, that's what they went through.
Yeah.
They're watching that in real time, and they're not watching it on a 2D screen. They're seeing it in person. So imagine how traumatized those people are, the first responders, all the people that have to show up and clean up the aftermath.
Oh yeah. After the shooting, obviously I went to dozens of funerals after the mass shooting in El Paso, and the trauma that I saw in the first responders who attended many of those funerals as well. What we are doing to one another is unbelievable because of our refusal to act.
Yep.
And until it happens in your community or to someone you love, you do not understand the impact.
Yeah. Or witness the emotional impact as well. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I lost you guys there for a second.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, so I'm going to move on to the next question because we've only got about 6 minutes left here. As a member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, what solutions have you all come up with that we could do better at the border?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to plug my bill.
Please.
The Dignity Act of 2025, which is bipartisan. And get this, I have 20 Republicans and 20 Democrats on that bill so far. It is a fully bipartisan bill. We are growing the number of co-sponsors, and it does reform not just what's happening inside of the country, but it reforms asylum and it reforms how we operate at the border. Part of the big issue, the Republicans like to play the videos of thousands of people arriving at the border, and that absolutely did happen.
Yeah.
But part of what they don't talk about is, in the United States, with our broken immigration system today, there really is only one line. They keep saying get in line. There's one line for immigrants to get into, and that's asylum. And in order to request asylum, you have to step foot on American soil. So in some ways, our existing laws incentivized that. But if you open up legal pathways, and if you allow people to request asylum from their home country, which both of those things my bill does, you completely change the dynamic. It's not going to solve everything. We have multiple facets of the bill that we think would create a far more orderly system of immigration and reform the border as well as asylum. But we can do this. And the Dignity Act of 2025 proves not only are those solutions there, but they're possible on a bipartisan basis.
It's common sense. If you can get half of the work done or more than half of the work done at the consulate before they travel, I mean, it almost seems like it should be going on.
Those are kind of things you'd think we'd already be doing.
You'd think it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
And so we can fix this. The question is, are there enough of us who want to fix this?
Yeah. That's it. It's been used as a political football for so long.
Decades.
Yeah.
It'd be getting rid of one of their favorite talking points.
Right.
That
But
they used to get
there's
elected.
nowhere for anybody to hide. This is a bipartisan bill that has growing support. get on the solution train with us and let's
Yep.
solve this.
Or stop talking.
You hear that,
Yeah,
Democrats out in the world, all the rest of you representatives, hop on this bill,
Telling you.
Congresswoman Escobar. She's got the right idea. A common sense solution to a problem that's shouldn't be a problem, but
Mhm.
you can definitely get it fixed.
Yeah.
Right now, I kind of want to switch gears, Congresswoman, just a little bit. We're going to go back to the State of the Union a little bit, but given your work on the Armed Services Committee, you're sitting here talking with two veterans. What do you think about Trump's comments from the State of the Union on the military and vets and the support in the wake of all of the things that they're trying to do to take away veterans' health care, take away their benefits? Can you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I gave an example earlier in our conversation of how much money is being spent on a tent city immigration detention facility in my district, $1.24 billion. There are a myriad of options for us to use that money. Even if all we did was focus on veterans, we could solve veterans' homelessness. We could hire far more physicians for the VA, specialists, subspecialists, you name it.
Yeah.
We have to show veterans how we feel, not through our words, but through our budget and through our policies. And this administration, when Donald Trump was a candidate, he promised to end forever wars. But here we are getting entangled all over the globe and using our military in a way that I feel is irresponsible on the border.
Yes,
we have
ma'am.
active duty service members basically walking up and down the Rio Grande patrolling the border. Fort Bliss, I want those active duty soldiers back on their tanks. I want them mission ready. I do not want to degrade our readiness, but I also we should not be looking for conflicts across the globe.
Yes.
And the best way for us to respect our active duty military is to have a strong State Department that focuses on diplomacy and doesn't send our young men and women overseas to begin more conflicts. So,
Couldn't agree more.
I think he not only has he not kept his promises, but we're seeing a degradation of services for veterans and a misuse of active duty military, and not as much of an emphasis as many of us would like on moving those resources to our veterans and their families who need them. So this administration has left a lot to be desired, and that's the nice way of saying it.
A lot to be desired. And luckily, I think a judge stepped in and halted that decision right now. But you see it time and time again when Republicans get in office. I feel like veterans are always the low-hanging fruit that they go after first. And one of the things I talk about is you have to understand the true cost of wars. It's not bombs, bullets, tanks, and aircraft and aircraft carriers. That's part of the cost of war.
Right.
But it's about those people who swore that oath to support and defend the Constitution. When they come back home with scars, both seen and unseen, they need to be taken care of.
That's right.
And some of these issues are lifelong.
Yeah.
And no amount of medicine is going to take away what some of us have seen in war zones.
Yeah.
Or money.
It's not going to do it. It may make life a little bit better, but that doesn't mean you pull their compensation away from them just because they feel better on some days. They're living with these things for the rest of their lives.
And I'm going to tell you something that most veterans will tell you. I would give back the monthly stipend I get for my back to just not live with chronic pain. Just that one thing. And I have other things, but just that one thing, you can take all this money back. I just want a good back. Yeah. And so, those are the things that people don't see. And unfortunately, there are a lot of things that us vets deal with, whether it's PTSD, depression, addiction, whatever. It's all linked in, and you don't see it because you're not missing a leg, you're not missing an arm, you don't have scars on your face, but you got a lot of stuff going on inside. And for some reason, Americans don't seem to understand that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything that you do up there, ma'am. Before we let you get back to work at the Capitol, we actually had somebody had a question I just wanted to ask real quick because it's good information. So where can they find a draft of your bill because we have nerds on here like myself that want to read those things and share it.
I love it. You can read the summary as well as the actual bill. It's on my website, escobar.house.gov. And you may have to, I can't remember exactly where it is on the website, but we highlight it pretty frequently. So I think
we
you
should be able to
go
put it in
to
the comment in
issues.
the we'll put it in the description too.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
But yes, and you can always reach out to my office. Our DC phone number is on that website, and we can always email you that information. But it is on the website for sure.
And can they donate at where's the
Exactly.
donation site?
I was going to say real quick, she's also running a campaign.
That's my campaign page, and it's my name, veronicaescobar.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ma'am, thank you so much. Yeah, Marcus.
Thank you both. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for joining us. And people, go out, give to Rep Escobar. We need more Rep Escobars in Congress. And we need to keep her there. She's doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
Rep Escobar, again, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
We
If
really
there's
Thank
anything
you
we
all
can
for
do,
what
please
you do.
let
We'd
us
love
know.
to come back.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please do.
All
Anytime.
right.
You're always
Take
welcome.
care. Thanks.
Thank you too. Man, like I told you, we got a good show for y'all today. We got somebody else coming up for you. What'd you think? What'd you think, man?
Oh, man. I mean, that's what I love to see. I love to see, and I spend a lot of time up on Capitol Hill and talking with our representatives. And, I get this more than everyday people, but these people are real people, especially on our side, the Democratic side. I am a little partial because I'm a Democrat and I run a PAC that supports Democrats and tries to get Democrats elected. But these are real people, and these are the type of people that I, try to get elected, because we need people who are fighters, people who understand that this is serious business for serious people and who want to get the job done. They have servant hearts, and you see that just having a conversation with Rep Escobar. She's all about representing the people of her district and getting things done for the American people in general. So
she was everything I expected. My favorite thing she said, though, honestly, was, I understand that, our safety is at risk here, but you asked for it. You asked for the microphone. So use it. That was honestly the best part of it, because it's like, that's what we need. Representatives are like, we're not showing up to be used. We're not gonna, we're not gonna let you take this microphone from us. We're gonna use it, and we're gonna fight back the same way you've been fighting. And they don't like it when we do. That much is clear.
Absolutely. They do not like that. And that's a perfect segue into our next guest.
Yes.
Who is Madeline Summerville. And she is a Democratic political strategist, a former speechwriter for the Georgia Senate Democratic Caucus, trial attorney, and a neutral commentator on legal political issues. And we brought her on to offer some insightful takes on the shifting Republican dynamics in MAGA world, and talk about some of that crazy.
Did we plan this for after? Because it works perfect for after the State of the Union.
Absolutely. Perfectly.
It really is.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Madeline, for joining us. We appreciate you coming in, and like I was telling everybody, we brought you in to kind of show some of your bona fides and talk to some of the Democratic candidates that are, out there running races right now. Some of the representatives who are in Congress running for re-election, to get your take on things and how they should be communicating and messaging. And with that, let me ask you your first question. How has your experience as a lead speechwriter here in Georgia shaped the way you craft your political messaging today?
That is such a great question. And first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on. I am a huge fan. Y'all fight the good fight, and I am here for it. Also, your backgrounds kick ass.
I'm a huge fan of yours, because I see you out there fighting the fight every day.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. It is a labor of love. And some days are harder than others, but it feels really good to be in circles like this, because usually I'm the liberal going into a circle of conservatives. And there's usually a lot of me and more of them. So it feels really good to be around like-minded people. I don't get to do that very often. So thank you.
So you get introduced as the liberal friend too.
Okay. OAN and Fox. She goes and gives it to him. That's what That's what captured my heart. So,
Thank you. It's really fun, and like a good mic drop feels great, but I really only bring out the mic drops if I feel like the person is being insincere and or lying.
Yeah.
and that's a
Because
lot.
if I feel like the person is a true believer, we're gonna have a good conversation.
Yep.
I'm gonna talk to them about
A
things
good
that
faith conversation.
yes, like I'm gonna try to undo some of the damage that's been done, and I do think it's damage, and that segues into messaging. So,
Yeah.
so my experience working as a speechwriter was before the 2024 election, and I think that the Democrats did learn a lot, as evidenced by Abigail Spanberger's speech last night, which, by the way, was fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to anybody about it yet.
That framing was great, though. The way she
Oh my
framed
God.
everything.
So actually, so I'm a jury consultant also, and I work with people on their closing arguments. And that is literally exactly how I tell them to frame it. I said, pick 3 questions that you want to answer, that we can all agree that you have to answer from both sides.
Yeah.
And then give them the facts that they need in order to draw that conclusion themselves. So the only difference would have been, I wouldn't have said, therefore, blah, 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 blah. That's the only thing that I would have changed if it were a closing argument. And it's because you narrow that focus down, right? And you show them what they're supposed to be looking at. And actually, I thought it was brilliant the way that they did this, because without demonizing or setting aside the trans community, they were able to directly address the ad from last year from the Trump campaign, which was, she's for they, them, we're for you. And the last question was, we're working for you. And if you think that that wasn't a direct nod, it definitely was.
Yeah.
And that's just my speechwriter brain. Actually, I would bet that the same person who worked on Kamala's speeches worked on Spanberger's speeches. But I always thought Kamala was a great speaker. And I always really like her on defense, because I know she's a trial lawyer, so
she gets froggy
on defense.
Yeah.
She's got those chops like you.
But it was a similar rhythm. That's actually why I thought that.
Yeah.
Because they speak in a similar rhythm. And I'm a drummer too, so it helps actually to catch people's rhythm when you when you speak, so that you know what the phrasing is going to sound like. You just have to catch their rhythm. So before we were in this great territory, which I am so for. And if anybody says, oh, well, what are the Democrats actually going to do? Unfortunately for them, we're on defense. So we don't have to put anything out on the table right now.
Yeah.
It's a different argument. But
that's a good point.
I think that before we were in this place, it was treacherous, because I would really try to get people to speak their minds and they wouldn't. Everyone was really tiptoeing very carefully around everything. And it was like pulling teeth to get, I mean, there are a couple of people that I worked with who were phenomenal, but really, I mean, it was like pulling teeth to get people to say honest things. Like, for example,
well, I was just going to say, that was one of the things that I always tell people: be your authentic self. That shines through more than trying to deliver a talking point.
Yeah.
All day.
You're being you, and you really believe what you're saying.
Yep.
People are going to be drawn to it.
All day.
Hear your message more.
It has to resonate, because all that matters is what they're going to walk away with. Yep. That's why I like narrowing it down to 3 questions, because people are going to remember, if they're not going to remember the question themselves, they're going to remember the structure, and they can go back and look it up. But they will walk away with literally thinking, I got questions answered. That's what they walk away with. It's
memorable.
Well, it's the rule of 3. It's scientifically proven that it's the rule of, I mean, it does something to your brain, and our brain
does.
3.
It does. And so, like, for example, and I won't like give specific names or anything, but when I was working in the state Senate, it was a time when they were trying to kick Brad Raffensperger off of the election board, because he was supposed to be a voting member. Right. But he wasn't technically on the election board. I forget what the word for that is. And my response to that, this is my suggestion, right? I said that we should just get 5 or 6 senators that go up one at a time and say, we refuse to punish people for telling the truth. Next one. We refuse to punish people for telling the truth. Next one, right? Because you're not disturbing anything. You're playing by the rules, but you're controlling the headline, because the newspaper can't put anything else in there except for what you just said. That's
Yep.
all you gave them. And what I realized was the only way that we are going to be able to push people to our side is if, and it's because I'm not making these speeches for the legislators that are sitting there. They're already bought and paid for on that side, right? They're already bought and paid for. The only way I can push people is if I can get a headline in the newspaper into somebody's district where they have a Republican representative, where this is a good person who thought that their representative was doing a good thing. And they call them up and they're like, hey, wait a second, is this actually what you're doing?
Yeah.
That was my strategy, was to try to get a headline to where people would then hold their representatives accountable, because there are plenty of people who don't know that their representatives are doing the exact opposite of what 100%. They said they were doing. So 100%. So that was always my goal, but they were afraid, because when you live in a Republican controlled state, you know, you're begging for breadcrumbs all the time. And people didn't want to lose their like $50,000 for streetlights in their districts that they had gotten by like making, you know, Burt Jones angry. So, you know, that
he's got a lot to be angry about right now, but not because of us right now.
Right.
Jackson's got some interesting ads out there.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of interesting ads.
Well, speaking of ads, what do you see as our biggest messaging opportunity as Democrats right now? And I'm asking that, you know, as we're coming out of the State of the Union, you know, we saw quite a bit of rhetoric last night, and we're seeing, you know, the attacks on, you know, the Democrats didn't stand up for this, you know, Mark Kelly, you know, was sitting down for that. So, you know, as messaging being your thing, you know, what opportunities do you see after last night?
Yeah. And I do wish that the Democratic Party would talk to me, because I've asked them to talk to me so many times.
You and me both.
So many times. So I think that, and I spoke about it this morning, actually, because I was on my regular Newsmax 2 debate, where they were saying, you know, you can't believe, I'm sure, you know, that all these people didn't stand up for, you know, is the American government supposed to work for American citizens or illegal immigrants? And I was like, well, first of all, illegal immigrants and undocumented immigrants are two different things. So, because I'm so tired of that. Second of all, though it was framed as a binary, right? You're either with us or you're against us. And the deal is that Democrats have decided that they are going to be uncompromising in their resistance against the government right now. And so that's how it was framed, right? It was with, do you think that they should be working for American citizens or for illegal aliens? And so, but what we're seeing right now is people who are illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants who are being jailed, who are here legally, or actually the statistic, I spent so much time digging on this. 1 in 10 people who are currently in ICE detention, 1 in 10 are here legally, and they haven't committed a crime. They haven't done anything wrong. They're just exercising the option that they can, which we've never done in the past because it's cruel, to detain you until your hearing. So, and people don't know that. And so I was like, that's the deal, is that they're just against what the government is doing right now. It's not about pitting one against the other. And the way that you fight back against that isn't by doing what I did this morning, which is explaining the side.
Don't do what I did.
Don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. What you have to do is you have to take a step back and explain the entire picture, right? You don't just explain one side. And that's what I tell trial lawyers too. Because if side A is explaining side A and side B only explains side B, then the people who you're trying to impress are still stuck. What you have to do is take a step back and explain both sides, and now they can trust you.
Maddie, that's one of the issues that I see in just having normal conversations where you think the people you're talking to understand at least the basics of civics and understand a little bit how government works. And I know I'm a guy who spent 30 years, you know, on the federal level. Talking with people is like pulling teeth from chickens. What you realize when you dig in is they have no idea how the system works. You feel like you've wasted 5 minutes of your life explaining something to someone
who can't tell you what the branches of the government is,
what the exactly. They don't even know the branches of government. So
and the other side is taking gross advantage of that. Like
Yes.
they are
Yes.
happy that people don't know about it. And we're like, no, let's educate you. And then the other side has already said, guess what? They're going to try to educate you and make you feel bad about yourself because you didn't know it already. And now we're stuck. What do we do?
Yeah,
So
they've managed to convince everybody education is bad.
Right.
You know, knowledge is bad.
Knowledge is bad. We're even the garden, guys.
It's-
Knowledge
gosh.
is bad.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's what I think. I think in terms of messaging in general, you got to take a step back and explain the whole picture so that people can trust you. Because otherwise they're gonna still think, you know, that it's just one good guy, like that both people are fighting to be the good guy when there's not like a clear winner. And the other thing that I would say is that the Democratic Party has struggled greatly in deciding who to target, because I think in the 2024 election, what they wanted to do and what Jasmine Crockett is doing right now, and this is like, I'm a Talarico person, but I still love Jasmine Crockett. My mom actually called me, it was like 6 months before the bleach blonde, bad belt butch body thing. She called me because, you know, my mom, she's always trying to find inspiration for me in the world. And she was like, you are not going to believe this woman that I saw. She is so beautiful. Her outfit, her clothes were so beautiful. And she was a badass. Because, okay, I like to talk to my mom about ladies who are beautiful and amazing. So I've liked her for a really long time. That should tell you how much I really like Talarico. But the strategy then, and her strategy, was to bring people out who don't normally vote, that 1/3 of Americans who don't normally vote.
Yes.
The problem with that is that telling people who already think their vote doesn't matter, that if you don't vote, something bad is going to happen, isn't going to convince them to vote, because they already think their vote doesn't matter. The only thing you're going to be able to do to convince them is inspire them. That's why it worked for Obama, because he inspired them. It doesn't have anything to do with race, doesn't have anything to do with gender. That's why it didn't work for women coming out for Kamala. Like, it just, I live in Atlanta. Like, I've seen through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And you understand, like, it's just about inspiration. It's just about that motivation from your heart. And so what they should have been doing was targeting swing voters, because what you can do with swing voters, right? What we decided was, if a person even considered voting for Donald Trump, even considered it, then they were lost to us, that they weren't somebody that could ever even possibly come to our side. And that wasn't true. There were a lot of people who were back and forth that we should have been targeting that we lost. So that's what
that resonates so much with me. You know, I just look back on that Obama message. It was so simple. Yes, we can.
Yep. Hope, change.
Hope, change.
It was a very different climate back then, though.
Was that? It was a different time, a different political environment. Yes.
Yeah.
But
And he had to have the bulletproof glass lined up in Chicago because him and his family were getting so many death threats. Let's not forget
we've all
that
been
either.
there and gotten those death threats.
Yeah, I mean, look, my thing with what happened last night is, I feel like I just feel like as Democrats, we missed an opportunity to show how united we could be and say, none of us are showing up to this freaking hour and 45-minute dumpster fire. And I just think that would have been powerful.
But
a lot of people didn't. And you know, we just had Rep Escobar on. She didn't go, and she gave her reasons. And I'm just giving my reasons as a voter and Democrat.
My high school classmate, Nikema Williams, didn't go. So
yeah, but it's like, as a Democrat and voter, you know, I'm just saying what I personally would have liked to see at this moment in time, because we're not talking about politics anymore. We're talking about Americans being murdered in the street by a federal law enforcement agency at the direction of the president.
Yeah.
And I think if that's what we're truly dealing with right now, then not showing up to a State of the Union that we knew was just going to be an hour and however long political propaganda speech,
rambling.
You know, using everything from soldiers to Olympians.
Yeah.
So it's like, why show up?
Yeah, I hear that. And I do agree that whether you're there or you're not, it needs to be a unified response.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans on the other side are always.
They close ranks so well.
Right?
Always.
On X, their statuses are consistently the same thing, and it hurts us.
Yep.
It makes us look silly.
Yep.
And my initial reaction to people not going was, well, maybe people won't think that they're putting up enough of a fight. But then I remembered how much Donald Trump hates an empty crowd. And that like having to look at empty seats,
That
the
would have
only
got
thing
him.
that I think Democrats needed to have done if that was their strategy was to give the why and let it be
Yep.
every single, make it a meme. I don't care. Like, let it be every single person's status. Whatever, you put a poster on your door. I don't care what you do, but like get the message out. Like, we're not going because we want you to see empty seats. We're
Yep.
not, like that's the problem. It's like with the Mark Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin video, which I loved, by the way.
Yeah.
No, we did. As veterans, we loved it, of course.
That's awesome. I didn't hear the why. Democrats feel like if they say the why in messaging wise, they'll get into the weeds. But the problem is when you're on defense, you have to give a why. And they don't think that they do. And so that would be a major thing that they could start doing. But it also requires them to do some really good legwork, narrowing down exactly what they want to say so that it's not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
I get that as well. So you're a trial attorney like Kamala Harris was. Can you tell us what your thoughts are as far as politicians communicating with legal strategies or how you could help with that?
Yeah.
Be more effective to voters anyway.
Yeah. So do you mean like using the strategies that lawyers do, or do you mean like in the kind of video that Alyssa Slotkin?
So like when you give your live sessions, like just political or legal strategies for Democrats to communicate with voters. Do you think that works or?
Oh, I gotcha. No, I don't. Because if you do it the way that I kind of suggested before, where you break it down into the 3 questions,
right.
You take it out of the legalese realm and you put it into a realm where people can understand what's going on, and you tell it like a story.
So more spoon feeding, less legalese and policy stuff.
Yes. And a major mistake that lawyers make often is that they say, okay, it's the A and B thing, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, we're not going to chase A, because if we chase A, then we're going to spend all our time dealing with that and not telling our story. Well, guess what? If you're the one that's asking for something, you have to chase A, because if you don't answer the questions that are left in the jury's minds, then they're left to answer that for themselves. And now you're in trouble. So I think that the Democrats need to understand what being on defense means, just like a lawyer would, and figure out what their narrow, perfectly packaged responses that they can deliver.
I love that. So with that in mind, I want to kind of switch to the other side, which is we're seeing Republicans or Americans that identify as Republicans, dropping from like 57% down to around 50%. So from being out there and like you said, you go on Newsmax and all these shows to really, push back with these folks. What do you think is a major part of the shift we're seeing?
That's a great question. So I think that a tremendous amount, first of all, of non-MAGA, but independents, were what allowed Donald Trump to win. And I think he lost them because I think they thought we'll give him a shot. Yeah. And he has disappointed them because he lied. And the people who weren't as involved in politics, who decided to get involved in this election, who were independent, decided, oh, well, I don't have a reason not to trust this guy because I haven't been following him this whole time. Right. And we're over here like, no, please.
I have been. Yeah.
Please don't. Like, we have so many reasons for you not to.
Yeah.
So I think with MAGA, though, here's my perception. And I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I've spent a year now on Newsmax, like at least 3 days a week. And I can tell you that there's maybe a 4th or 5th of their audience that are truly good people who have just been bamboozled. Like, they have just been indoctrinated from day one. And they really don't want people to be hurt in the streets. They really don't want that. They really don't like getting into the, when you talk about DEI and then you see the actions and then you see what they're actually doing, right? They don't like that. They just are used to that rhetoric because that's what they've heard their entire lives.
Yeah.
And when they see people that they care about, that this is happening to, they're like, I don't know, maybe that's not okay. And but it's only the strong ones, because strong people can handle cognitive dissonance in a way where they start to confront themselves and their identities, because so many of their identities are wrapped up in this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A
That's it.
tremendously strong person to be able to say, you know what, I'm just gonna I'm gonna rethink this, because they're so intertwined, and that was his goal.
I
And
feel like
that's
we're seeing a point right now where cognitive dissonance is starting to shift more into self-awareness.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's what I think for me, that's what I'm seeing is, and I was like that. I just went through it 15 years before a lot of people did. Like I was in the military, I was
Yeah.
Republican, I voted Republican.
Yeah.
And then as I got out and I started to be more self-aware, being in an interracial marriage, that brings things to light that you
Sure.
just never experienced before. So it's like there were a lot of life experience that shaped my self-awareness journey. But it always started, at least it felt like to me, it always started with the cognitive dissonance, like you
Yeah.
said, of just paying attention to what I wanted to pay attention to,
Yeah.
interpret things in a way that would benefit my personal or political agenda, and just realizing that doesn't do anybody any good, not even me.
But that takes a tremendous amount of character to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone can engage in that kind of thought process.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And I've talked about this a lot over the last 5 years, how when you're having that compassionate conversation with a true believer, like you talked
Yes.
about
Yep.
earlier,
I love it.
you have to approach that in a different way
You do.
than someone who's trolling, for instance. So the way you approach that person, you got to do it with compassion.
Yep.
You got to manage your emotions.
Yes.
First
Oh,
of all,
that
always manage your emotions.
that took me a while.
Oh yeah,
I'm
me
still
too, me
working
too
on
a
it.
little bit.
That took me a while.
But you have to remember that a lot of people, this is their identity,
Yes.
and they've
Yes.
gotten this from people that they love,
Yes.
parents, teachers, preachers,
Exactly.
people that they work with out in the community. That fear is real to lose that, because you're saying that all these people that they love are wrong,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
therefore they're wrong.
And all that time that they've invested, all that trust,
Exactly.
you have to start unraveling that. And for anybody who's ever been in an abusive relationship, or who had a parent that disappointed them, right? They've gone through that. And so what we're talking about, people who are of like great character, but it could also be somebody who has experienced something like that before, where they've had to be disappointed by someone that they loved,
Yeah.
and go, oh man, I see through this now. Like, the illusion's gone.
Yeah.
It's almost like experiencing loss or grief, going through grief.
It's
that you have
grief.
to
Oh,
go
100%.
through.
100%.
So
That's
it's a
it.
lot.
It's grief.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of explains where we are, but we know a lot of them are just trolling. They're not.
Yeah, I mean, and
one-fourth.
That's the mic drop. That's when it's fun. That's when you can really mess with
That's when
them.
you can go ham on them. And
Yes.
Well,
that's
I have a
fun.
friend,
It's
Brian
different
Shapiro.
times where you have to pull out this from your bag or that
Yep.
tool from your bag
Yes.
to
Definitely.
address
Like,
them.
there's this one guy that I always go ham on, because everybody's got their own issues that they really care about, and mine is just kids in general. So when you start talking about gay kids, I'm gonna go nuts, right? If you like, it's just my thing.
Yeah.
And this one guy, they always put him on when they know I'm going to be on, and
Your version of Scott Jennings.
No, but
They're like ratings.
it's a guy from I can't even remember what his institute's called.
She's like, I can't remember.
His name is he's from America something or other, I don't know. But
America
they
First
always
deal.
put him on because they know I'm going to go nuts on him, because for whatever reason, like, my blood starts boiling, and just like 12 statistics just fall out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Like, I have ADHD, so my brain like finally focuses in with anger and just goes like,
Yeah, they call it a Ryan rant on the show when I do it.
Orion rant. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. I go off, and it's pretty similar.
Adam's got
to
her
that.
own version of that. And
Yeah.
Thank you. I love it. That's great.
it's great.
So we need to get her on and then just yeah.
Let's do it. That'd be
I'm
so
for it.
fun. That'd be so fun.
But it for me, every day waking up and seeing people like you out there pushing back, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm bipolar, and even though I'm medicated, you still deal with the ups and downs. And so when you get overstimulated
Yep.
by somebody who's, gaslighting you,
Yeah.
every once in a while, I just won't be able to, keep it under control.
Totally
And
get it.
yeah, but it's like,
I'm
I
not
tell people,
bipolar,
I'm
and I
like,
get there sometimes. It takes a lot to get me there,
Yeah.
man, I've
but
known
I
you
can
for
get
5 years.
there.
I haven't seen it yet. Let me know.
It takes
Let
a
me know
lot.
when
It
it
takes a
happens.
whole lot. There has to be some racism sprinkled all through it.
Right.
You want to know what Marcus does? He lets me lose it, and then when he gets done, he goes, righteous indignation. I like it. That's like his
He's older brother to you.
exactly. Good cop, bad cop is
That's it.
That's
it
so
works
funny.
perfect.
And I think with like the white liberal women thing, I've been thinking about this a lot and how people deal with this. And I was raised like in an Orthodox Jewish school, so I kind of have like a little separate category, even though I present obviously as white. But like people hate me for different reasons. Right?
Not funny, but yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But I think that the reason why it makes the right so angry is because we look like them and we're ashamed of them. And I think that what they're saying is like you're a traitor. Right. Rather than saying like, oh, you're so pathetic for caring about people.
Yeah.
Right. I think what they're really feeling, because the way that I try to interpret this when I'm writing speeches even is what's the underlying emotion here? Because I always start with emotion. Like what's the real feeling that's under this that they're not talking about? And it's you look like us and you're ashamed of us.
Yep.
Like, what team do you play for, ma'am? And we're like, no, we don't play for your team. We left your team a while ago and we are ashamed.
Yep.
And that's the fight that we're not having. Those are the words that aren't being said, I think.
It's so funny you said
so
that because
wrapped up in the identity politics that they're forgetting that there's so much more at stake here. Democracy
so much more at
itself. You grew up in the system up until when there's a Republican in office, it's great. But when there's someone that doesn't look like you, the Obamas or Joe Biden looked like them, but he's too old, of course, and he's got dementia.
Yep.
Kamala was just a bridge too far as his vice president. Come on, what does that say?
Yep.
What does it say?
But we've talked about it on the show too. Like I get invited to conversations that I shouldn't. And it's like because I can show up and look like one of them.
Yeah.
And they look at me and they just think I'm a friendly, and then they start talking and they realize I'm not. And it turns into an awkward, encounter.
And I think that's great, honestly. I love taking advantage of that. I do not look very menacing. Like
I don't get that opportunity, but
I'll
take you guys' word.
Might be slightly more dangerous for you too, I think. Just
I'm not like the kind of person that usually, gets singled out as a threat.
Exactly.
But I am threatening, I think, because I'm an empath. Like I know that that's a big word, but that's my skill. I made a job out of it. And if I can feel you and see through your facade, whatever this is here, and I can feel you and talk to that piece, then I am threatening because I'm going to make you be you in front of me, or you're going to
break down all those little walls you've put up.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you just what I like is that you just cut through the BS quite quickly and get to the point. Yeah, they push back, but it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. They've already lost the argument. That's why I love Maddie. So.
Thank you so much.
Well, with that, I want to, and Marcus, please ask another question, but I'm going to ask my last question.
You go ahead and ask it. I got a couple more questions for you.
I got time. I got plenty of time.
So we talked about Trump's approval ratings dipping, and he's actually confirming that they're worried about it because he's on stage talking about, I can't believe that, our ratings are this low. And it's like, yeah, it's going to keep going too, dude. Mm-hmm. So now that we're seeing, like you said, we're seeing the shift. We're clearly seeing the independents and even some of the Republicans that are going, yeah, this isn't what we wanted. With that, how do you think that us Democrats can best capitalize on the voters distancing themselves from not just Trump, but also the MAGA agenda?
Yeah. So one, stop focusing on the people who don't care about politics. That's
like, an interesting take.
Like, focus on those people who are switching. Like, that's the group that's going to vote. That that is in between. Because so I tell people this all the time. And I was afraid that the Democratic Party would make this mistake when Mamdani came out and started talking about the affordability issue. Is that the primary issue? Yeah, absolutely. But it was delivered by a person for whom that was his authentic message, right? Because he has believed that and developed a philosophy on that. His parents taught him that. I was a fan of his mom before I ever knew who he was.
It's not new for him.
Right. So him talking about that makes so much sense. And it makes sense that it would also click in the public consciousness and go, that's a person who knows what he's talking about, because he narrowed his message down to this tiny little thing where you could provide people with certainty about what to believe. You know, when you could put words to what someone is thinking or feeling, that is a tremendous power that you have.
Yes.
And
you feel instantly connected.
Yes. And I remember watching Van Jones as a kid, because that was the person who did that for me, where I would say, oh my God, that's how I feel. You just said that with words. And now I know, well, now it's not just a spinning around in my head. You know,
you're the person.
So, yes, that's my person. That was, and I know I'm going to meet him one day, you know, and I'm going to tell him that. And, you know, I hope he's as cool in person as I've made him out to be, but you know, he inspired me. So
man, don't mess this up, man. Don't be one of those. Yeah, don't be one of those. Don't meet your hero, people.
Right? That makes me so sad.
I know, right?
But I think when it comes to those people, first of all, a big mistake that people make on both sides is they think that swing voters care about kitchen table issues. False. If swing voters cared about kitchen table issues and that was their issue, then they would have made their decision a long time ago, because each side has such a different proposal as to how to deal with whatever that kitchen table issue is. It would be easy to decide. The thing that they really don't know is who to trust.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we can't all be experts in everything. Like the average person, like myself, I mean, like I could talk to you about law stuff, but I don't know anything about, you know, like science whatsoever.
Yeah.
So like if somebody's going to talk to me about the EPA, or somebody's going to talk to me about space, or get like deep in the economy with math, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I have to trust someone whose judgment I think is good to be able to make those decisions for me. Yep. And I think that at the end of the day, it's about who people trust to do the right thing when nobody's watching. And that is
integrity, by the way.
Bingo. And I think that's actually probably
how they could think Trump was that guy, but I hear you, and it makes so much sense.
His middle name is
Flip Flop. About that too, because I think he was able to use a level of linguistic manipulation that bypassed it, that looked like it.
Yes.
And I've studied it hardcore.
Straight down to capitalizing words in middle of tweets to make them stand out. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for saying that.
It's horrifyingly scary.
Yes.
But I think what people need to do in order to target those swing voters, right? First of all, cater to them, realize that they need to know who they can trust. And that actually requires people being brave. The reason why the most popular people in our party right now are people like Bernie and AOC and Mamdani is because they've never changed their perspective.
Yeah.
They have not altered, right? And it's because they were true to themselves.
Yep. And
like, it's so easy to talk about something when you care deeply about it, and when you're forcing it out of you, like I'll name names if you want me to, but like there are a few governors right now who I don't understand why people love them. Like, to me, I don't feel connected to them. Like there are a few like senators and representatives where I'm like,
I'm not making say it on the air, but I'd like you to send it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I have one video where I did one about Westmore.
Yeah,
I did one about Westmore. He's a handsome guy. I think he's really smart, but when he speaks, he sounds like he is prepared rather than passionate. When Cory Booker speaks, he sounds like he's trying too hard, but I do believe him. I think he believes what he's saying. I just think people are really good at spotting lies or spotting untruths when they're not the one in the spotlight. Like if somebody's not talking directly to you, and I'm thinking about this in terms of like a jury, right? When there's like 12 or 14 people that are sitting here and there's an attorney talking to them and they don't have to react at all. In fact, they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but you know, and it's the same thing when you're watching TV, right? You've got an audience in your house and there's like a person over here. You get really good actually at spotting when somebody's not being authentic and when they're lying, and you don't trust them, but you don't know why.
Yep.
Like there's something about them that you don't trust. And what's really funny actually is when I go to Newsmax and I tell people that one of the reasons I got into like speaking politically was because I hate JD Vance. I think he's a demon. They're like, yeah, I don't think we like him either. Like there's something about him that we just don't trust, you know? So
biology, it's body language.
yes,
I mean, when
you
you're
feel it.
not being
He's
your
curated.
authentic self, it shows.
Yeah.
Yes,
it really does.
It does. And you can feel that in your heart. And
For
so
sure.
I think people need to be brave. They look, if people don't like what you're going to say, if those senators got in trouble with Burt Jones because they created a stir and people are now on our side, guess what? That's ultimately going to work out in your favor.
Yeah, that's our goal.
That's right. It's ultimately going to, and if you have to pay the price for whatever period of time until people come around to it, be prepared to do that. And if people don't want to elect you after that, then they won't.
So,
I think
because I don't think you were in the green room.
As a guy who's, I'm sorry. Yeah, but part of that as a guy who's in this, you know, we've all got advisors when you're running a campaign and they're telling you, okay, you're talking to this audience, so you got to talk this way, or you're talking to that audience, you have to talk this way. And of course, you're going to speak differently at a church than you are at a bar.
100%.
I mean,
sure. But there's
maybe you're more authentic stuff in a bar than you will in a church.
The message doesn't change. How you deliver it changes based on the audience.
And it's funny because I call it the Darth Vader principle. So people don't have to like you, right? We don't have to like Darth Vader, but everybody loves him, right? Everybody loves that character.
Dressed up as him for Halloween.
We can trust Vader to be Vader.
Yep.
Right? That's what we can trust. We understand this character. We know who he is. He acts within the boundaries of what we are expecting.
Yes.
And he doesn't have to be the good guy. We just have to know what we can expect from him. That's why bad guys lose. That's why bad guys win.
And then we start making the argument of, well, he was a good guy at one point.
Right. And now, exactly. now we're in the
Anakin was great.
Exactly.
Until he wasn't. When you first said Darth Vader, I thought you were talking about Dick Cheney, and I'm sorry.
That's funny.
Oh, man.
But,
That brings back some memories.
Yeah.
But real quick, though, because we had Rep Escobar, and I don't know if you were in the green room yet, but we were talking about political violence and how prevalent it is right now. And we have, Sean Harris is running in Georgia for Marjorie Taylor Greene's abandoned seat, and he's been wearing a vest. We talked about how Bad Bunny was having to wear a vest leading up to the Super Bowl because of all the, the hate and political rhetoric. And she said, yeah, but that's what you signed up for. You asked for the microphone, so use it. And to hear an elected official literally sitting in her office at the Capitol say, you wanted the microphone. That's our job.
It is what you signed up for. You're a soldier. You're standing there like a soldier. And the thing is, everyone knows that words are words are weapons. Everyone knows that, especially when social media runs things. 100%. And I'm happy to say this in as many venues as possible. Like, if that's how I go, then that's where I wanted to. Then I will be very happy for that to have happened. I'm not a very strong person, so I can't hold a whole bunch of stuff. Physically, I'm not super strong physically, but I'm pretty strong emotionally, and I can take a hit like that, And so if I need to stand up and do that, and that's what ends up making me go, then that's exactly the way that I want to.
Do you think what we do every day?
It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
No, there's a cost that comes with it.
And they come with responsibilities.
World Police jingle, freedom isn't free. There's a hefty effing fee, but it's not, people.
Yep.
It comes at a cost. People have lost their lives and given the ultimate sacrifice for us to be able to live the way that we do.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think
which is why we should be responsible with it.
That's it.
Yeah. You get a certain amount of clarity when you figure out what your purpose is. And anybody who's watching this who has gotten to that place in their life, because I've dealt with a lot of stuff to get to this place. Anybody who's dealt with a whole bunch of stuff, you'd feel the same way too. I'm not special. There are plenty of people who would say, this is the thing that I believe in the most in the world, and I'd be willing to die for it.
Yep.
And there's a lot more people, I think, than we realize. The problem is that in politics, there's so many narcissistic ego jerks who just want the power, who wouldn't die for what they care about.
Yeah. And that's the problem. That's a problem.
Like Mark Wayne Mullen. I've got that video.
And Jasmine Crockett and everybody else that's out there who really have that servant's heart, who really want to make change for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And
you talked about thick skin, though, before I let Marcus take it here. Do you think that what we do every day, like the social media, you going on Newsmax, do you feel like that has prepared us for this? Like, I know for me, I definitely feel like when I started, I took things way more personal than I do now.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that too?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've realized over the last couple of weeks, really, that my job right now is to teach the left what the right is actually like.
Yep.
Because I have been exposed to them in a way that was honest. And there are people who can be honestly turned to our side. And it just needs to be presented in a way. I just fundamentally believe that when people see the truth and they recognize it for what it is, that they will accept it. It just has to be, they just have to recognize it. And so
whether they publicly admit it or not.
Yes. Right. And that's another element that I did not contemplate.
Yep.
But you have to make it easy for somebody to say yes. And so you can't want a mic drop on somebody whose heart you're holding. Like it's not gonna work. You're not gonna turn them.
Yeah.
But I think in this moment where, like, there's this one guy, and I'm not affiliated with him at all, but I love him, Adam Moncler. I followed him from years ago, before he was a big shot.
It's nice to see him doing well.
Yes. And he's so young. He's just brilliant and phenomenal. But the reason I started following him was because he would go to Trump rallies and legitimately change people's minds standing there.
Yep.
He would just go slowly. He would just go slowly with them. He wasn't patronizing. He didn't lie. Like he has
the perfect personality for it.
He just sat with them and he talked it out. And Luke Beasley does this too. And I was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to bring people around to the other side. So I think doing this is what has prepared us. Or I think doing this is exactly the preparation that we needed for this moment. I really think that.
For sure.
So, and again, I love Adam. I've been friends with him for quite a while now.
He's awesome.
One of his first interviews, actually, for candidate. So, love the guy.
That's awesome.
But we talk a lot about the cracks that are showing up in MAGA. Now you're seeing some of the Republican leadership push back, and they're talking about some of the cracks.
Yeah.
And my question to you, and this is more about, let's call it the working class Republicans who are, starting to, as I see it, pull away from MAGA or move to the, and even you can throw those Latinos for Trump.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
We can talk about that too.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's talk about that too. But
go ahead. Sorry.
The question is, do you see this as, is it a real thing that we're seeing, or is this just like some temporary noise that's out there, or is it really happening? Is MAGA really, in your opinion, are they really coming apart?
They're coming apart, but like the seam hasn't been ripped yet. They're coming apart. It's just that, it's not final, and it can still be sewn back together.
They're just fraying right now.
They're fraying. That's the exact right word.
Say more, as Nicole Wallace would say. This is interesting to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think, actually, and this does tie into Marjorie Taylor Greene. So my belief about her is that, and I sincerely believe this, that she and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes are going to work together to scoop up all of those voters who are defectors from Trump right now, because they think Trump is too for Israel, because they think Trump isn't pushing the Christian nationalist agenda enough.
Yeah. They're trying to go further to the right. They're trying to be more MAGA than MAGA and call it America first, which comes from.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson are perfectly happy to say whatever lies they need to in order to pick up like the people who are following Anna Kasparian.
Yeah.
Or like people who, and I don't have anything against Anna. It's just, she's a defector, right? So like she's a defector. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson are going around going, who can I scoop up? Who is changing their minds right now? Because I can get power doing this. Mm-hmm. I think that personally, I think that Tucker Carlson is the most disingenuous person who's ever been on television.
Absolutely.
And like people,
he was exposed
if you
before he
know
left
how if you want to know how I trained to do this, I would force myself to listen to Tucker Carlson for a few minutes more every time. I was upstairs in my dining room doing this. It was like nails on a chalkboard.
That's
Because
hard.
it makes me so angry to listen to him because
God bless you for being able to do
I
it.
can hear his lie. I can hear the disingenuousness in his voice. And I know he's full of it. And so when I know Marjorie Taylor Greene is fully expressing herself honestly about Christian nationalism, and then I see her over here saying something that directly contradicts that, and her voice has changed, I go, oh, I see what you're doing here.
48 hours
Right?
in between, by the way.
Together. You three are working together to scoop up all these defectors.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's happening there. The easiest way for things to break apart is if they have somewhere to fall. And actually, I think that Trump's advisors, like Steve Bannon and all those folks, they are incredibly smart. And these guys like Elon Musk and all the tech bros, their job is to figure out possible outcomes, right? That's what they're always calculating. So they're anticipating all this stuff before it happens. So when there seem like there are artificial splits in MAGA world, sometimes they're manufactured. Because when you bring a big coalition together in order to get somebody elected, but they all have different ultimate interests, once that they've won and that union has been created, they're going to start to break apart and differentiate themselves. That's just human nature. That's just how things work. So if you know that that's what's going to happen next, you have to control the split. And if you saw anything that seemed like that doesn't really seem like an argument there, it's a manufactured split. And that's really, I mean, that's the like Occam's razor most plausible explanation.
That's what happened. That's what I think happened with Musk and Trump a while back, that they needed an artificial split to save both of them at the time. But now they're back to being buddy-buddy.
Of course, because it's bullshit. Like I don't know if you can say that on here because it's
oh no, you can.
You know, we speak French on this channel.
So I think when it comes to the breaking apart, the people who really are questioning Trump, I would say, just basing it on my Newsmax audience, I would say 1 in 10 people who voted for Trump right now that was MAGA is walking away. I think over half of the independents have already walked away. I think they walked away when he started cutting federal employees. I think they were done. I think they were like, nope, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I regret my vote. I regret it. I am very sorry that I did this.
And veterans, he lost a ton of veterans by allowing this disability wording to be added into, and then to come back and Doug Collins like, oh, well, we promise we're not going to use it. It's like, no, take it out, because as long as it's in there, you're going to use it.
Yeah. Do you think we're stupid?
Exactly. I mean, I'm so glad a judge pushed back on it, but they're still going to keep trying on that. And I'm going to keep harping this.
Well, the judge didn't make them take it out.
Yeah. He didn't make them take it out. So
no. All the judge did was alter how they implement it. But the judge didn't make them take the wording out. And that's my thing. Yeah. Like, it's not especially with this administration, but honestly, anytime the government says, trust me, bro,
nope,
it usually doesn't work out very well for me.
Right. What happened to Reagan when he said, like, the 10 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Like, when did Republicans just decide
play that with ICE breaking doors down? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what Democrats can do in order to pick up some of those voters that are fraying, kind of coming full circle a little bit, is the messaging needs to be on, you can't trust Trump. That has been my messaging this entire time, because that's what I saw as the future. Because I thought about it, and like when you're at trial, you're sitting and anticipating what the other person's going to do. So you're anticipating, like, based on your responses 6 steps ahead, this is what I'm planning on.
Yeah.
And so I think the way they need to frame it, right, isn't Trump is a schmazzi, right? It's, which it makes me crazy when they're like, don't compare him to someone like that. I'm like, but then don't be that.
His actions are
so hard not to, but if you know history, all of this lines up
100%.
Not repeating itself, but it rhymes like a motherfucker.
Totally.
I tell you.
Totally. But the problem is that makes people's brains shut off.
Yeah.
Because people who are his supporters hear that and they go, oh, now I know I can't trust you, which isn't true. But they go, oh, now you're just TDS. I can't listen to you.
Yeah.
And your brain shuts off. So I had
Not
to
a
get
thing.
really good at
It's
not using
gaslighting. Yeah,
right.
so,
I had
yeah.
to get really good at not using language that was going to make people's brains shut off.
Yeah.
So what you can do though, and what my thesis has always been, is you can't trust Trump, because my other thesis is that swing voters go off of who you can trust. That's why they're in between, is because they don't know who they can trust. I
Yeah.
think all the messaging needs to be about, see, you can't trust him. He told you this. He didn't do it. See, you can't trust him. Or see, he said this was his value. Actually, he's doing this. See, you can't trust him.
Yeah.
And it needs to be like every legislator, every governor, every person who wants to fight this fight, there's a couple of Instagram accounts that have done a really phenomenal job of this, coming out with these exact comparisons where it's like, oh, you think Trump cares about fraud? Well, he's pardoned all these people who committed tons of fraud, right? This is a great comparison that the news needs to focus on specifically in one arena, right? It just needs to get narrowed down so that it's easier to communicate to somebody who's not used to hearing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, so with that said,
Yeah.
Madeline, where can people find you and support you if they're not seeing you on Newsmax?
Yes, which you do not have to watch.
Yeah. Go watch the clips on her page.
I go there to fight them. But my handle is Maddie's Hot Take, MADDIESHOTTAKE. So it's like shot in the middle, but it's Maddie's Hot Take. And I have a Substack. It's under Madeline Summerville. And I'm on News Nation in the afternoon, sometimes just as a legal analyst. And I haven't been invited back on Abby's show on CNN, but I would very much like to be. So I hope they'll be able to catch me there. But I post a lot of my debate clips throughout the week. And I do a lot of explainers also, where if there's something really difficult that's going on politically or legally, or if there's a speech, I'll do a breakdown that's 3 minutes or less, where people can understand what's going on quickly. And I never do it in a partisan way. Like, if it's the truth that this is like the way that you need to see it,
these are the facts.
Right. I'm not going to change it, but it's never gonna roll into the you're all terrible territory. Like,
Right.
it's just never, because that's not in my heart. It's not going to go in that direction. And it was funny actually last night, because I was on a panel for this really small news channel with a lady who is brilliant, but she leans way that direction, and it felt good for me for once, to not have to temper myself.
Yeah.
There's a role for everyone. I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Like, there's a role for everyone in this fight. This is just my role,
I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, well, we got to go high. And I'm like, you know what? I think we've had the high ground pretty well covered for a while. I'm going to take the low ground for a little bit and see how this goes.
Yeah, we're just going to give it a shot, guys.
Yep.
Let go for it every once in a while. Yep. Maddie, we got to have you back.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You let me talk so much. You let me get all my heart out. So
that's why we're here, to give you the microphone.
That's what this show is. With all due respect, we're going to say what you don't want us to say.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk to you guys. This is awesome.
It was great meeting you.
We enjoyed it.
I subscribe to the other stuff. I'll make sure I come subscribe to the Substack, because I could definitely benefit from some good legal takes. So
I think my last Substack article was called like my failed time as a Newsmax contributor, because I think I got so angry that I couldn't bring people to my side. But every time I'm hoping I'm just picking off a few people in the audience to where
even if it's just one at a time,
where they go, you know what? Maybe all Democrats aren't crazy. Maybe this is a reasonable person. And then their mind just opens a tiny little bit.
Because she's showing me where she's getting the information from, and she's telling me how she's interpreting it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yep. I'm showing them the behind the scenes.
Yep.
Yeah. And we gotta have you back, so that as we get through these primaries and get into the general election, some of our candidates can,
especially the messaging part.
You can go out and
you've said so many good things about messaging.
Thank you. Nobody asks me.
I should be asking you.
You guys do. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
We're going to bring you on, bring you back, and let you tell them anyway. So
thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Madeline.
Thank you, Maddie.
Bye.
Bye. Man, what an amazing show today. Sorry. So you got an hour and a half out of us today, everybody.
You did. That's a first. So.
That is a first. Before we wrap up, though, and I just want to say, if you liked these two interviews, make sure you go like and subscribe. You can do my YouTube. But you can go to our Substack, which is under Marcus Flowers, with all due respect. I believe Marcus was in the top 25 bestsellers
At
on
one point in time. Yeah.
Substack last week. So definitely go over there, support us, because we're bringing on all these amazing people. And as you can see, it's not just candidates. We're also bringing on strategists that not necessarily on the left either. I like what Madeline said about who we need to be focusing our messaging on. And I hope that's what people take from that interview we just did of here's how we can be more effective, and here's who we should actually be trying to get in the voting booth come midterms in 2028. So Madeline, thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you go support her Substack and her social media, because that's how she gets paid.
Yeah.
With that, I just
Rep Escobar for joining us as well.
Yes.
Great interview also.
Especially, we know how busy an elected official actually is. So for her to take 30 minutes was amazing. I wanted to just touch on a few things that happened this week that we're not going to have time to talk about, but I implore you as our listeners to please just go read up on these few things, because we feel that they are that important for us to educate ourselves. So SCOTUS decision, there were two that I want to talk about. One was the tariffs. So basically SCOTUS said, no, you can't do that. And Trump threw another temper tantrum and implemented a 15%. Is it a duty he implemented?
Across the board, yeah.
But don't panic, everybody. He can only implement it for I think it's 180 days or something without Congress approval. So it's a temporary temper tantrum that'll go away. But the decision that I'm concerned with, and I want to give you a quick second to answer this one, Marcus, is the Supreme Court ruled that the United States Postal Service cannot be sued by the American people for not delivering their mail, even if it's intentional. Now, the reason I think that's a problem is because mail-in ballots is something that Republicans and Donald Trump are attacking on a daily basis. Here in Arizona, the Republicans in their infinite wisdom just passed a law that they're going to start getting rid of county precinct ballot collection areas, and they're going to make it even harder for people to vote. And they think they're doing it under the guise of election security.
They're just looking at more ways to implement their voter suppression strategies. I mean, there's things about.
So you're reading it the same way.
The U.S. government, but this ain't that.
Yep.
This is voter suppression, pure and simple. They are going to try and steal these midterm elections.
Yep, and 2028.
That's a hot, blunt take, but they're telling us what they're going to do.
Yep.
And they've been telling us, we're going to end voting. So we're trying everything we can, the Stephen Millers and Steve Bannons of the world.
Yeah.
With voter suppression tactics, this SAVE Act, all of these things are so that they can steal the midterms, because they see what's coming. They see that blue wave coming. And if people go out and vote, show up anyway, they're still going to lose. I mean, we see what's going on with the Fulton County ballots that they've stolen. They're supposed to get back already. I don't know if that's happened yet.
I don't think they've given them back yet.
Which is crazy.
It is.
So
you think, for me, I'd be like, we should probably take those back today. We should probably.
Fulton County, which is the most populous county in Atlanta. They've been going after Fulton County for years, but that's not new. But now they're finally, they've got
all the whatever they want, because they know that they've got a lawless president
now. So they're going to try and steal elections. I mean, Trump hinted at ending elections. You're not going to have to vote again. We're going to fix it so good. Well, this is him trying to fix it so good that no one can vote.
Yep. And Elon Musk is helping them. Don't forget that, y'all. Yeah. Speaking of Elon Musk,
you got to keep pushing back.
The Epstein files.
Yeah.
And we're going to make this real quick, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I hope anybody that follows me, watches the podcast, know where I stand on women and sexual predators and things like that. So this is not a dismissive comment at all. But I'm getting real tired of talking about these files. And it's because it's every day. It's because if I'm tired of it, I know that the actual victims that this is creating a ton of anxiety and depression and God knows what else with them. And the reason I'm tired is there's no reason for this. This shit should have been released a long time ago. But the thing that you guys all need to go read about is what files have been removed from what's been released. That's your homework until next Wednesday. Go read up on what files our law enforcement agencies have picked through and removed from the Epstein files and who they apply to.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody can guess
Who that is.
that is right now.
Oh, and Judge
I'll
Eileen
give you a
Cannon.
hint. He gave the State of the Union address last night.
Was that what that was
Everybody
last
watched.
night?
So,
Judge Eileen Cannon, also a federal judge in Florida who was appointed by Trump, also ruled that the Jack Smith report could not be released. Now, I don't know about you, Marcus, but if I was an innocent person that didn't do any of the things that somebody claimed I did, and a report proved my innocence, or at least that I didn't have anything to do with it,
I'd want it out there.
I would think that I'd want it out there.
Yep.
You?
I would want it out there. Just like any other innocent person would want. They put it out on the table. I have nothing to hide. Here you are.
He doesn't want to see the Jack Smith report for the same reason he doesn't want us to see his tax returns.
Yeah. And we saw that ridiculous, call it committee hearing with Jack Smith and the dumb things that they were asking and the accusations they were making, and how his hands were tied because he couldn't talk about certain things in that report, thanks to Judge Eileen Cannon.
Yep.
So
with that, here's where I'm going to end the show. You heard our guest today talk about how $1.2 billion has been used and what better things we could be using it for, like education, homeless veterans, hungry kids, all those things. I want to let everybody know that Donald Trump has shifted $10 billion in taxpayer money to his Board of Peace. Now, some of you may be thinking that that's not a big deal, or that it's because it's a government thing. Let me shock y'all. The Board of Peace is a private entity.
Offshore accounts, even.
That has nothing to do with the American government. And he just shifted $10 billion to it. And guess what they're going to be doing with that money? Rebuilding Gaza. Now, when you hear Rep. Escobar tell you what we could do with $1.2 billion in taxpayer money, imagine what we could do with $10 billion in taxpayer money. Because Donald Trump is going to be leaving the White House with $10 billion plus in taxpayer money in his pocket and a $400,000 Saudi jet that is going to end up with about $900 million. So let's just call it an even billion in retrofits that he's going to take with him when he leaves office. We are being fleeced. And if I hear he donates his $400,000 presidential salary every year one more time to dismiss and ignore the billions of dollars this man and his family are getting from the presidency, I swear to God. With that, you got anything, brother?
People, we are in very perilous times right now. Everything hangs in the balance. You see the rampant lawlessness out of this administration. Don't give up hope. Keep fighting. Keep going out there supporting good candidates.
Yes.
And pay attention to what's going on.
Donate when you can.
Midterms that are going on right now. We've got early voting in some places right now.
Yep.
And there'll be several primary elections over the next few months.
Yep.
Get involved. Whether you go knock doors, donate money to candidates,
calls, texts,
do postcards, whatever. Get involved.
Yep.
Get involved. We need that. And we need you.
We need you to show up and vote.
Yeah.
We need you to show up and vote.
And encourage other people.
Yep. Kamala lost 20, well, no, it wasn't 20, but she lost around 15 million votes that she should have carried over from, what was it, 2024? No, 2020, sorry. So we got to get out the vote. And I loved what Madeline said. We have to appeal to people's, feelings, emotions, and the things that directly impact them. And we need to focus more on good faith conversations with people that we can actually sway. I love that last thing she said. She's like, as soon as somebody looks at you and says, I don't do politics or I don't vote, don't waste your time. Move on to somebody that actually is paying some kind of attention and actually votes and participates in the process. With that, you got anything?
That's it. That's all I got.
It.
So everybody.
That was our first time doing 2 interviews. I think it went pretty well. As always, thank you for the support. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, whatever platform you're watching us on. We will be back next Wednesday with more guests. As always, much love, keep fighting, but most importantly, stay safe out there.